You're not going to believe this. Chris Wright, who is the Secretary of Energy, he literally talked about how the Biden-Harris team spent money on the way out the door. Take a look.
A little over $40 billion was supplied in support through the Loan Program Office in its 15 years of existence, a little over $40 billion, and then almost $100 billion in the 76 days after they lost the election and before President Trump's inauguration. Look, if those were great ideas that were benefit to the America, why didn't they do it in the 2.5 years after the Inflation Reduction Act was passed? Why did they wait till they lost the election?
$1.3 billion after they lost the election to their friends. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Just shoveling that money out the door to make sure those left-wing groups and causes got all their cash. Not worried about you, the taxpayer. So next time the DNC wants to put out a tweet about airports, just remember, those are the priorities of Biden and Harris. All right, guys, I hope you had a great weekend, a good Mother's Day to all the mothers. I hope your sons and daughters treated you well. It's nice around here. Pretty busy weekend. Got a few little chores done, but you want to talk about getting things done. I mean, guys, I always joke about this, that like there's no downtime in the Trump world. And I mean, it was just what we have to get through today. I need more time. I mean, we're going to barrel through this. So sit down, relax. I don't care. Get yourself a little beverage or two. But we've got a lot to get to because this was huge. Like one of the things that we're about to talk would be big enough, but it all happened in like a 48-hour period. I want to kick this off, though. Caroline Levitt does this thing called the MAGA Minute. And this just is a little bit of recap. So I want to kind of try to do a little of this in chronological order. But this is Caroline talking about what they did last week. Take a look.
Look, we told you the next 100 days would consist of peace deals and trade deals, and that's exactly what we have seen. The president announced last week the big trade deal with the UK, as you mentioned. Now we have a first deal with China. Just yesterday, the president announced the release of the last remaining American hostage in Gaza, Edan Alexander, who will soon be united with his loving family. God bless him. That's thanks to President Trump. We also negotiated a ceasefire with the Houthis, and President Trump was instrumental in negotiating a ceasefire with India and Pakistan. This is all in the last week. President Trump and his team are working incredibly hard on behalf of the country and the world to secure peace deals and trade deals. And don't forget, we have a tax deal coming too. The administration is working with Capitol Hill to sign the largest tax cuts in American history right now.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, I just said it, like one of the things would be a big deal. I mean, seriously, think about the last 4 years. It's unbelievable. But the president, and I'm going to get to all of it. Don't worry. Sit back and enjoy because we got a lot to get through. But the thing I want to start with was what the president started today on, and it's this drug deal. So it's funny how he framed this. For years, we've been told by Big Pharma, like, hey, we got to give a deal to make sure that like Zimbabwe only pays $30 a dose or England pays $62, but you guys will pay $1,000. Because, you know, we have to follow their law. It's like, wait a second, why do they all get better deals than us? And the president this morning laid out beautifully what he's doing, how he's taking them on. Take a look.
But starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care. Countries where they paid a small fraction of what for the same drug that what we pay many, many times more for. And will no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. But again, it was really the countries that forced Big Pharma to do things that, frankly, I'm not sure they really felt comfortable doing. But they've gotten away with it, these countries. European Union has been brutal. And the drug companies actually told me stories. It was just brutal how they forced them. And European Union suing all our companies, Apple, Google, Meta, they're suing all of our companies. They end up, they have judges that are European Union-centric, and they get rewarded $15 billion, $17 billion, $20 billion, and they use that to run their operation. Not going to happen any longer, that I can tell you.
Not going to happen any longer, I'm telling you. I'm going to get to more of this in a minute and why it means such a big deal. But again, I want to give you the top level stuff of what happened. Caroline mentioned this India-Pakistan ceasefire. Another, again, Oh, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I did this, this, and this. I got a ceasefire in India and Pakistan. The president addressing it this morning. Take a look.
On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons. And they were going at it hot and heavy, and it was seemingly not going to stop. And I'm very proud to let you know that the leadership of India and Pakistan was unwavering, powerful, but unwavering in both cases, and having these, they really were, from the standpoint of having the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it.
You get the point there. The bottom line is these guys have nuclear weapons. And so it's not a good idea that they get mad and that they escalate. And there was definitely a belief. And by the way, it's funny. I watched some commentary over the weekend, and they said it's interesting how the president's now being an interventionist after the whole America First MAGA thing. This is where these journalists just don't get it. MAGA and America First means we don't always want to be the world's policeman and send our money and our people to go fight other people's things. This is exactly America First, getting involved and saying, hey, knock it off. We use our might to make sure that we solve the problem. Those guys going at it and firing nuclear weapons is not good for anyone. It's not like you contain the fallout to the air over India and Pakistan. It goes into the environment. What the president did there was huge. And these guys, like, it's amazing that he literally cannot cure cancer without being critical by the press of his actions. It just blows my mind. And oh, by the way, if that wasn't enough for you, yeah, we did this little deal with China where we're taking the tariffs down, keep them at 30%, by the way, on our side, because 10% is that baseline tariff and 20% because of the fentanyl. And then the Chinese tariffs are going way down as well, so that we actually win on that as well. This is Secretary Scott Bessent talking about this. Take a listen.
What has to happen is it has to be fair for the American people. But in January 2020, President Trump produced a template. We had an excellent trade agreement with China, and the Biden administration chose not to enforce it. The Chinese delegation basically told us that once President Biden came into office, they just ignored their obligations. So, we all already have a large framework. The other thing to remember here, Jonathan, is that this is a pause down to 10%. The April 2nd level for China is 34%. So we will be working to see where their final reciprocal number ends up. And the negotiations are a combination of tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, currency manipulation, and subsidies of labor and capital.
Okay, a lot to go through there, but the market's today going bonkers. You know, I've said this before, and it's just a reminder. Everyone loves to talk about the process, not the results. Oh, it's so chaotic. Listen, your little nice process hasn't resulted in anything but us getting our butts kicked, getting taken advantage of. And it was funny, Amy Klobuchar, Democrat from Minnesota, was on the program, Meet the Press, I think it was, over the weekend. She gets asked, if all of this proves to be fruitful for the United States and we win, are you going to give President Trump credit? She goes, the process has been horrible. So your problem is with the process. And I keep reminding people, we've played nicey nice when we send people over and we have meetings and PowerPoint presentations and communiques, and it results in nothing. And your complaint on the left is, we don't like how he does it. Why do you care? Doesn't that tell you everything about them? That they'd rather make sure that you follow protocol than get results. And for 40, 50, 60 years, we've followed protocol and gotten screwed. So when these guys tell you that their biggest issue is the way that he did it, And oh my gosh, we almost did this. Yes, Trump negotiates different. He doesn't telegraph what he's about to give up. He fights hard. He gets it. I mean, this guy's a New Yorker. And it's amazing to me over and over again how everyone's issue is with all this. So let's just recap for a second. India-Pakistan ceasefire. We'll talk about the drug deal in a minute, but reducing the cost of prescription drugs. Ukraine and Zelensky's Ukraine and Russia's Putin are supposed to meet in Turkey this week, face to face. Now, some people are saying that they don't think Putin's going to show up. I do. I think if he doesn't show up, Trump's going to go nuts. And I think he's going to ratchet up the thing. I do think that Putin will show up and then obfuscate, and he'll make up some excuse. But at some point, Putin has backed himself into the corner, and I think starting to run out of all of the goodwill that President Trump had to get a lasting peace. But, again, what's the goal here? Is it peace? Is it to end the bloodshed? Is it to end the destruction? Or is it to make it look pretty? And I think that President Trump's proving that. So he's also, and Caroline said it at this clip, getting the last American hostage released from Hamas. His name's Edan Alexander. Again, another win for the United States. The deal with China. He's leaving today to go to Saudi Arabia and other things. And oh, by the way, he got a free plane. I mean, I'll tell you about that in a second because the Dems are losing their minds. But going back to the deal for a second, I want to show you a chart. Because all the experts, all the talking heads, the people who've never done this before are wrong. We did it Donald Trump's way. They don't like it because he doesn't need them. And what do I mean by that? Lobbyists and experts and the media in DC love to be loved. They love to be needed. That's the truth of the matter. And one of the dirty secrets about Washington, where power and proximity, or proximity is power rather, is that when you don't have proximity, and you can't tell all your clients, I met with the White House today, I talked to the president. You can't charge as much. You don't get to go to the dinner parties. And these guys hate the fact that Trump doesn't want them or need them. That's the bottom line, just so everyone gets the little joke here. And Trump does it his way without all of these subject matter experts that have been running around DC forever. That's what this all really comes down to. He's doing it his way without them. Steve Witkoff, he doesn't have any experience in this. How could you possibly use him? Not some dude at the Brookings Institute. All the experts are there. Steve Witkoff may not have had the pedigree of coming out of Washington, D.C., but does it matter? Is he getting results? Is he getting peace? Is he getting hostages released? Yes. Again, it's Trump way, not everyone else's way, not the traditional way. Let's look at, just by the way, our friend Bruce Melman releases 6 charts. He's got a great Substack. You should go over to Bruce Melman's Substack and check it out. But he puts out these 6 charts every Sunday. I want to show you a few of them. Look at this all-time revenue high that we're getting. That little line on the right shows you how much money we're bringing in because of tariffs. It is pretty amazing, huh? And look at what's happened when we did all this. Look at the red line. If you can see the other chart, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But then the other chart, look at what was happening to China. China to the U.S., plunging. They felt this like never before. We were bringing in all this money. They were feeling the pain. And that's why everybody was wrong. They just didn't see it in front of their face. Another issue that's funny that people are missing is the border. Again, look at this chart, why Donald Trump is winning. Historical illegal crossings along the U.S. border at an all-time low. That little dot on the right in the blue, if you can see it, is how many border crossings. Look at it. It doesn't even register. That's how secure the border is. I mean, it's amazing. And by the way, look at what's happening. Leadership matters. This is the difference between Trump. So when Biden said that he couldn't do anything, he was lying and gaslighting us. And even the northern border, look at that. All-time historic lows. It's working. The Trump policies are making a difference. And again, look at what he's doing on energy. Look at the gas prices way, way down. Crude prices down. That's the bottom line. We're the benefits. And no one in the media wants to talk about this, right? Look at all the stuff that just happened in the last 48 hours. No one wants to tell you it because it's like, we can't possibly give credit to Donald Trump. It is just unbelievable. And by the way, there was this little analysis that Bruce did on Canada that I think it's worth saying as well, because it's funny how if you read and hear what's going on in the U.S. media with respect to the Canadian election and Mark Carney's win as prime minister, it's funny. They all said, oh, Trump went after Trudeau, and that's why they won. But look at what Carney did when he ran. He ran as a conservative. He talked about everything from ending their carbon tax to increasing military spending, limit immigration and building. It's amazing. What Carney did was actually run like a conservative, like Trump. Now, they want to talk about the fact of the 51st state and him belittling Justin Trudeau. But the reality is, if you actually deep dive into the election, you'll see the truth. A truth that you won't hear anywhere else but here, because no one else wants to tell you about this. All right. I want to tell you in a little bit because there's a lot more to break down, but just to give you a preview, I want to talk about the Democrats at this ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement Center in Japan. Trump named Jeanine Pirro the new U.S. attorney. I told you the Dems, they go too far and then they never see what's coming around the corner. And guess what? Jeanine Pirro was around the corner. And by the way, the House continues to debate the outlines and the contours of this big trade bill. This is going to be fascinating because you saw the president today started to talk about all this new revenue that's going to come in. Trust me on this. The revenue is going to matter. The amount of money that we're bringing in on tariffs, the lower prescription drugs, is going to help get this deal across the finish line. And there's a little term in D.C. called SCORE. The Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, issues a score. The Office of Management and Budget, the White House, issues a score, right? So they look at policy and say, how much is that going to cost? How much is that going to save us? That's the score. And everyone always fights over this because that's, by the way, the CBO is always wrong. And they'll tell you this costs much or this is much. And Trump's now going to make the case. We're bringing in more money. We're lowering the cost so we can get this bill across the line. And I will tell you, so I'm gonna talk about this plus the new plane and so much other in just a second. It was Kai Trump's birthday, by the way, the daughter of Donald Trump. You remember her from the conventions. So a little happy birthday to Kai Trump. By the way, this week, big show. Steve Moore is going to be here on Wednesday, and on Friday, Steve Bannon. So it's the week of the Steves. I want to continue to break all this down for you, though. But before we get to that, a guy who's always with us, who's been with us from the beginning, my friend Leo Grillo. I got to tell you about him real quick. You guys know the story if you've been watching the show for a long time. Leo Grillo is the founder of Delta Rescue. It all started when he was walking down a highway, saw an abandoned Doberman. He named the Doberman Delta, dedication and everlasting love to animals. And that began what is now Delta Rescue. DeltaRescue.org has it all. You can see the videos. It's the world's largest no-kill sanctuary, not a shelter, a sanctuary. These dogs, cats, horses, animals of all sizes and shapes and stripes get the care, the nutrition, the support they need for life. Because Leo Grillo, when he founded Delta Rescue, wanted that to be his mission, to take these abandoned, abused, malnutrition, animals and help them for life. And if you go to Delta Rescue, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. DeltaRescue.org has it. But Leo Grillo doesn't rely on USAID grants or political subscriptions to make it all happen. It happens because of people like me and you. When I say me and you, I mean it. I gave a personal donation to Delta Rescue because I love what Leo's doing. So go to DeltaRescue.org to check it out. Make a personal contribution if you're an animal lover or just want to support the cause. Plus, there's an estate planning tip that you can pull down the menu there. And do me a favor, just print it off. Because if you're an animal lover and you've got an old 401k or a stock that you're thinking about, talk to your tax professional. You may be able to get some kind of tax benefit now. So talk with your tax professional, but go to DeltaRescue.org. Check out the great work that they're doing and that estate planning gift. Before I get into the rest of the agenda, though, guys, you guys know this. Last night, by the way, this bag is empty. I travel with Beam's Dream Powder wherever I go. And last night, I'm getting ready to travel a little, so I put my Beam Dream Powder in the bag, and that was the cinnamon cocoa flavor. I actually last night took the brownie one. Amazing. This is like dessert, by the way. It tastes that good. And this isn't some if you tried the cinnamon cocoa, the peppermint, the brownie, it literally is that good. Unfortunately, it's so good, not just in terms of taste, but it's got all those natural ingredients in them. L-theanine, reishi, magnesium, apigen, melatonin, all the stuff, all the natural ingredients that you've probably tried at one point or another if you try to sleep better. But I'm not kidding. When I take this stuff, it tastes that good. I pick one scoop, put it in some water. I put it in the microwave. Some people say they do. It doesn't really matter. I just like it warmed up, makes me get ready for bed. 30 minutes later, my head hits the pillow. I'm out like a light, and I wake up like ready to go. No grogginess. I'm just back because this is science-backed, all natural. There's a reason that professionals and athletes, 17.5 million nights sleep have been helped with Beam's Dream Powder. And I'm telling you, I now am so addicted to it. I take it everywhere I go because I need a good night's sleep. I cherish a good night's sleep. And without fail, Beam's Dream Powder is the answer. I'm telling you, if you're someone who can't fall asleep, can't stay asleep, or just loves sleep, because I've made it part of my wellness, Beam is giving all of my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of 40% off. Any of the flavors of Beam Dream Powder, go to shopbeam.com/Spicer and use code Spicer at checkout. Shopbeam.com/Spicer and use code Spicer for 40% off. Support a great American company and invest in yourself and get a better sleep tonight. All right, let's just keep going there because we got a lot to get in. As I mentioned, the Pakistan deal, that was a big deal. Again, no one's going to give this guy credit for this, but like these guys have nukes. They're going at it. And President Trump, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance get involved and say, that's, bingo. Then, as I mentioned, this guy, Edan Alexander, the last American citizen held by Hamas, gets released. Oh, that's not bad. It's just a big, big deal. And then just so many of the other things. I want to get to the rest of them in just a second. But before I do that, I want to just segue because I don't, it's not all just great on the Trump side. Democrats in New Jersey went to go visit this ICE detention center in New Jersey. It just opened up, apparently. And instead of worried about their citizens in New Jersey and maybe people incarcerated there, they worry about these bad people because that's where their focus is. These 3 members of Congress and the mayor of Newark all decide to just show up. Let me play you a clip because they say nothing happened. Nothing. They just showed up and nothing happened. Take a look.
But there's no reason for it. Nothing happened other than the chaos that they created themselves. If anything, we were pushed and shoved and found in a very vulnerable situation for the 3 of us.
Now, just to be clear, when they said they created this, that's one of the members of Congress there. Her name's Rep. Bonnie. Now, they apparently, as far as I know, weren't invited. Like when they say they created, the folks at ICE were doing their job there, protecting the ICE facility. These members of Congress show up and just say, we have a right to come inside. I don't know that's entirely true, but the idea that ICE created something, I'm sorry, they didn't create this. You guys showed up and demanded to go inside saying that you have a right because you're a member of Congress. And you heard her say there, nothing happened. Well, DHS actually put out more of the footage from the body cam. I'm going to show you this because take a look. Apparently, when they say nothing happened, this happened. Take a quick look and see what I'm talking about. Okay, that woman in the red coat, by the way, that you're looking at, that's a member of Congress. You can see her arms there pushing the ICE agent, the law enforcement agent. She is pushing them. There she is again, pushing them. When she says nothing happened, that's just simply not true. You can see her arm, her hand, pushing the agents. That's assault. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I'm just telling you that's what happened. And it was apparently her job to do this. That's what she claims. Her name is Congresswoman LaMonica. I want to play for you what she had to say on CNN.
The reason why we were there in the first place, to have a tour of this facility that had just opened up on May 1st. It had over 100 detainees. We were getting reports prior to our tour that children were there. We did not know the status of the facility or the status of the detainees. And so that is why we showed up there to do our job as members, and New Jerseyans count on us to do our job. Immigration has been something that's in the back doors, in the backyards of New Jersey, and it's our jobs to make sure everything is running properly at this facility.
Right. I think that's like one of the Kamala Harris word salads, but somehow that's her job, to push and shove, to come uninvited. That gate, by the way, they were saying, hey, the gate's closed. The only reason they got through is because they were opening the gate to let a bus through. But the media doesn't want to tell you that, right? Did Dana Bash or did anyone at CNN ask them, were you invited? Did you pre-screen this? No, because they don't want you to know the rest of the story. They don't want you to actually hear that part of it. They just want you to pretend that these guys showed up just to do their job and nothing happened, except the video shows otherwise. They show that other member of Congress pushing the ICE agent. That's a fact. You can see it. But no one wants to, they want to play this off as though these people are just out there helping these poor, helpless gang members and criminals. I feel so bad for them. It's just unbelievable. It shows you the dishonesty of the media today. And I got to tell you, folks, I don't mean to sound like, I don't know, like I'm not trying to be holier than thou or whatever, but like I've come so close and dealt with the media for so long, I can't begin to describe how dishonest most of these folks are. It truly is amazing. Like what they shield you from seeing and the gaslighting that they do. There are bad people in that prison, that detention, that facility. These members of Congress showed up uninvited, push the ICE agents. And by the way, the DHS is saying that they may actually arrest them. I think they should. That's assault. The Newark mayor, by the way, was arrested. But this is the difference between what you see and what they want to show you. They want to control. And that's, again, this goes back to my whole little rant about why the White House press corps is so pissed about how Caroline and the press office are allowing new voices in. Because their goal at the Washington Post, the New York Times, CBS, Politico is to control what you see, read, and hear. They don't want you to see the whole thing. They don't want you to make up your mind. They want to show you the left's view of the world, to make you hate the right, to make you dislike Donald Trump. And that's why when we played that clip from the Media Research Center showing you that 92% of the coverage against Donald Trump is negative, the coverage against Pete Hegseth was 100%. No wonder sometimes the poll numbers look what they do. How would anyone sustain an attack like that when you hear all these bad things? You know, it's funny. I bump into people all the time and say, I'm really worried about the tariffs or whatever. And I'll say, why? Why are you worried? What do you mean? Why are you worried? Well, I heard, okay, so you heard something, but you actually haven't felt it or are dealing with it or seeing rising prices. In fact, I want to talk about the trade deals for a second because Kevin Hassett, the National Economic Director, actually addressed this, and this is a perfect segue. Take a look at how he talked about what's actually happening.
Should we be looking at that trade arrangement as something of a blueprint, a precedent of how he's dealing with other countries?
Sure. Yeah, it absolutely is a really exciting blueprint for what we're going to be doing. And Howard Lutnick has briefed me on about 24 deals that he and Jamieson have been working on. And they all look a little bit like the UK deal, but each one is bespoke. Each one's a little bit different because different countries have different things that they've been doing wrong to us, different things they care a lot about. And so, for example, there was the UK auto issue where there ended up being a quota, and that was something they really cared a lot about. And by yielding on that, we got a whole lot for American farmers. We opened up the UK for the first time ever for beef farmers, which they really, really love. And so, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, but the basic idea is everybody wants to have a deal and everybody wants to make a deal soon. And so you're right. You're going to see a lot more deals in the weeks to come, next few weeks.
And as soon as this week?
I would expect so, yeah. I mean, there are a whole bunch of things that are very, very close to the finish line. In the end, the president has to decide he likes the deal or not. There was a great story where I thought the deal was fantastic, and then the president's like, I can make the deal better, and he got an extra $1 billion in agreement of the UK buying our stuff on the phone by calling Starmer. So my guess is that the president's going to make the last phone call for each one because he is the best deal maker in the world, and he's going to add a little bit at the end, I would expect.
Again, you don't hear that often, do you? That's Kevin Hassett. He was on the show a few weeks ago. They don't want to tell you that. Think about it. I've told you before how big this is for ag in general. We can now start sending them stuff. This is huge for our beef producers. Crazy, huh? Media doesn't want to tell you that. So it's funny because they do want to tell you it's going to cost more. And over the weekend, I'm watching it. I wish I could find it, but it's not like it's up. But there's an ad out for Hyundai. And it talks about how they're not going to raise their prices. So when they get asked all the time about the cost of goods. They say consumers pay this. And President Trump, Howard Lutnick, Kevin Hassett have all pushed back and say not necessarily. It's actually a complicated issue. And the media goes, oh, Hyundai's out running an ad saying we will not raise our prices. They're going to eat that cost. Maybe the other country reduces the tariff. Maybe they eat it. It doesn't matter. But the bottom line is it was a lie that you're going to pay this. Maybe some cases they do pass it on the consumer. I got to be honest. That's potentially possible. But this idea that it's a cookie cutter approach, it has to happen this way because they say so, is not true. Hyundai, like I said, has got an ad on television saying our pricing will not go up. Some people are using it as a way to attract customers. Some companies are eating it. Some countries are lowering it. But this is all about getting us a better deal. And everyone wants to focus on the chaotic nature of it. Who cares if it's chaotic? Does that really matter to you? At the end of the day, if your prices go down, if you're an owner of a business or you work for a company and they can now trade or sell more product because we opened up a new market, do you care that it was a little chaotic? Or would you rather have the same system over and over again produce the same non-results? But the left can't handle it. They don't want to give the president any credit. I'm just telling you, it's amazing. And here's another interesting thing. Talk about not kicking the can down the road. Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, is on Meet the Press this weekend explaining why he's doing what he's doing. Take a look.
The problem we have is you can't snap your fingers and fix it. Right? It takes time to build the infrastructure. And I say it's going to be 3 to 4 years to build it all, but we're going to focus on Newark first. So we're going to start to see Newark be far more resilient in the near term. But air traffic controllers, we're 3,000 short on air traffic control. I can't snap my fingers and bring in these highly skilled air traffic controllers. All of this is going to take time. So the key here is we have to start. We have to begin the process of fixing the system. I can't say in 2 weeks I can have it fixed. That's not the space that we deal with. But I'm going to tell you, we are going to begin, and in the months and years ahead, we're going to see real results.
All right, I want to pick up on this for a second because I think again this is so big. What's happening in air traffic control reforms? I need to walk you through it. Before I do that, I just want to tell you, for obvious reasons, we know that on April 15th, tax day passed us, but for millions of Americans, the trouble is very real. It's just beginning because if you have unpaid, unfiled taxes or owe back taxes, whatever, you know that right now the IRS has continued to ramp up its enforcement. They've got over 5,000 new tax liens that are filed daily. 5,000. They've got tools like property seizure, bank levies, wage garnishment. I mean, they come after you. It can completely be unsettling to your way of life. The tools that they have at their disposal are unbelievable. But if you're one of these people or you know someone who has, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom because the folks at Tax Network USA are the best in the business. They've recovered over $1 billion for their clients, and they can help you take on the IRS. They know who to call, who not. They've got a preferred dedicated line going into the IRS. I'm telling you, these guys are so good at what they do. Even after the deadline, it's easy to reclaim control if you call the folks at Tax Network. The consultation is completely free, and they could stop the penalties, the threatening letters, all that. So give them a call at 1-800-958-1000. Or better yet, visit tnusa.com/Sean Spicer. TN, so Tax Network, tnusa.com/Sean Spicer to get help. You may have missed the April 15th deadline, but you're not out of options. The folks at Tax Network USA are the best at what they do to help you. All right, let's get back to this for a second. I want to give you a sense of what Sean Duffy just said. He talked about the fact that they're using copper wires, not fiber. They've got all sorts of outdated and antiquated systems. They're literally buying parts on eBay, okay? And we've seen what happened at Newark Airport. But he got into what his main focus was, and I want to touch on this because this is like what no one took this on before. Trump won, we tried, and the Democrats blocked us. And then it sat idle. Remember, Mayor Pete couldn't find a camera that he wouldn't talk to. But he didn't do anything to address this. And I want to show you, this is Duffy on what his main focus is. Take a look.
in the safety mission of the FAA, like air traffic controllers, no one was cut. We actually have staffed up. We've hired more air traffic controllers during this time. There were probationary workers that were let go. Those are employees who were there less than a year, and again, we excluded the safety positions. Most of them have come back. So again, to say the FAA has 46,000 employees. And if you lost 350, is this affecting our safety mission? There's a lot of things the FAA does, but for us, safety is key. So no, we've retained all those safety positions.
So he's making sure that we're safe, that they're focusing on safety in flying and make sure the right positions are there. But he's also going to modernize this system. It's nuts what's going on. And you'd hear about all of these near misses and whatever because they just keep kicking the can down the road. Mayor Pete didn't do squat. There wasn't an area where there wasn't a problem. Highways, seaways, you name it. They didn't do anything to address this. And these guys, when Sean Duffy says they're looking over the horizon, they're trying to get ahead of this to keep us the safest place so that we don't have to wait for a tragedy to occur. And I think that's so different than what's happened. And frankly, both parties. This system is decades old, outdated, antiquated. And they're taking this thing head on. It's unbelievable. I want to pivot back for a second, though, to this drug announcement from what the president said this morning. So he calls it most favored nation. What does that mean? Well, when a drug goes up for sale, okay, they'll go to sell and say the UK. And the UK will say, well, we're not letting you sell that drug for more than $50. Maybe India says $42. Whatever. And here in America, we're charging $1,000 a dose, right? What the president said today is we will not allow anyone drug to be sold that we are not paying MFN, the most favored nation, the lowest amount. So you're selling for $42 in India, you have to sell for $42 here. Why are we subsidizing? That was the word that he used. Because these companies are like, hey, American citizens and American consumers will pay it. We'll just sell it cheaper over there. Why? Why do we have to be the ones that bear the burden? We do it on trade with the tariffs. We do it on drugs. And the president's taking on big pharma head on. The thing is that I've learned this sort of getting in the weeds here. The government can either put it on a schedule. So let's say that drug costs $1,000. And what all these guys want is for what Biden did. The Biden approach was you put it on the schedule and now you pay $20 and you go, hey, that's cool. Guess who pays the other $980 though? The government. And who's the government? Us. So what Trump's doing is actually, free market capitalism, saying to them, hey, you want to sell it? Here's the price you have to sell it at. Whatever the lowest other country is, we get that price. So now what happens is they can either raise the price on India or the UK or the EU, or we get it lowered. But we're not going to be the sucker anymore. And I'll tell you, Big Pharma has been the third rail of politics. No one touches it on either side. President Trump taking it on. This is the beauty of the second term. RFK, Dr. Oz, Dr. Bhattacharya, Dr. McCary, all there with him today making that announcement. But these are the kind of things that make a real difference in our lives. Think about how many people are living paycheck to paycheck to pay for a drug. And I'm telling you, this is amazing what is happening. Because it's the approach that matters, not just the result too. Instead of saying, great, like Biden did it, hey, we'll just have the government pay for it, everyone gets their drug, and don't worry, a future generation will pay for that. We'll add more to the debt. Trump is using his negotiating skills to get a better deal in the free market for us. They'll still make plenty of money. Don't worry about pharma. Don't cry. There'll be plenty of money. But now they can't charge us more than they're charging the lowest country. What a deal. And they'll fight this, by the way, and they'll try to get Congress involved. But this is the kind of stuff, again, where Trump is just totally on our side helping us. Now, I mentioned where the Dems are losing their mind. Another example was the government of Qatar has decided to gift. Now, here's again where the media is going to steer you wrong. They are gifting a brand new 747, like Air Force One, because, by the way, Boeing couldn't deliver the one that President Trump ordered 8 years ago. So the Qataris said, well, we have one. It's completely retrofitted. We'll gift it to the United States, to the Department of Defense. But here's the condition. At the end of Trump's term, it's got to be turned over to his library. Now, here's again where the Democrats and the media will lie to you. They'll say they're giving him a plane. They're not giving him a plane. They're giving the government a plane. And why does that matter? Because listen to how I'm going to tell you this, because this is important. They're giving the Department of Defense the plane to retrofit it to be used while he's president. Then what will happen is it'll be sent to his library. Now, here's who controls the library, just so you know. The National Archives and Record Administration, NARA, the government. So it's not a gift to Donald Trump. It's a gift to the government. And that's where, again, yes, did they figure out a loophole to make sure that his library could get it? Yeah, sure. It's all the government's property. It remains the government's property. And that's the problem. The Dems are literally losing their mind. The Democratic National Committee put out a tweet over the weekend. Trump is set to accept a $400 million super luxury jumbo jet from Qatar's royal family. Meanwhile, American airports are grounding flights. Why? Because Pete Buttigieg didn't do his job. So if you want to blame anyone, DNC, call Petey. I know he grew a beard. Maybe you don't recognize him anymore. But give him a call. Because if you want to blame anyone for the airport shortages and the flight delays, that's on you, bro. That's on you. They didn't do their job. And you can't blame Trump because he got a great deal. Speaking of not doing their job, though, you know who they did give money out to? You're not going to believe this. Chris Wright, who is the Secretary of Energy, he literally talked about how the Biden-Harris team spent money on the way out the door. Take a look.
A little over $40 billion was supplied in support through the Loan Program Office in its 15 years of existence, a little over $40 billion, and then almost $100 billion in the 76 days after they lost the election and before President Trump's inauguration. Like, if those were great ideas that were benefit to the America, why didn't they do it in the 2.5 years after the Inflation Reduction Act was passed? Why did they wait till they lost the election? They changed terms and loan covenants. They basically tried to set bombs to make it hard for us to unwind the mess they'd created. That's just not a responsible way to treat American taxpayer money and to move our energy system forward. So yes, we've stepped into a lot of mess, but this stuff's all fixable. We've got an aggressive team going after it. And you see already American energy prices are down. Investments in America to bring jobs back are up. So I think we're going the right direction. But yeah, we've got a lot to clean out.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just moving forward. It's what to clean out. $1.3 billion after they lost the election to their friends. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Just shoveling that money out the door to make sure those left-wing groups and causes got all their cash. Not worried about you, the taxpayer. So next time the DNC wants to put out a tweet about airports, just remember, those are the priorities of Biden and Harris. By the way, those policies of the Dems, I want to show you something that's amazing. You know, Jamie Dimon, he's the head of JP Morgan. And there was a Chase branch of that is owned by JP Morgan that was burned down in the Palisades fire. Jamie Dimon goes out to LA to inspect it, talk to the workers out there. And he sits down and does an interview about what they're doing to rebuild the branch and what's happening. Now, Jamie Dimon, just as a reminder, is a far left Kamala Harris supporter. And this is what his take was after visiting the branch out there in the Palisades, California. Take a look.
JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon greets employees who used to work at this branch that burned down in the Palisades fire. Dimon takes photos of what's left of that branch and sits down with us in what will become the new branch within the next year.
The reason we're here is to come look at the Palisades, look at our branch, thank our people here, understand the issue a little bit better, thank our people for what they did. We did a town hall this morning. It's devastation, and we want to be part of rebuilding it. You learn what's going on. I think it needs a lot more work and a lot more help.
What lessons do you think the state could learn from business?
I changed the name of red tape to blue tape because it's the Democrats who seem to want more and more regulations. We need good regulations. We need good food. We need good financial system. We need good. It's just not more, and more. And you see it in everything, permitting and licensing. And there are lessons to be learned. And whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you should be saying, I want an efficient government. Even the Palisades, if you want to get this built, you need, I would have a Palisades rebuilding building with everyone in the room, literally. I'd have right here. I have sanitation, fire, police, roads, insurance, local, state, federal government in the room with charts. What are the problems? Because it's a huge management problem, and government doesn't put top people who can run projects into management. It's too often politicians who were academics who've never run anything.
Never run anything. But don't you love that? I call red tape now blue tape because the Democrats are standing in the way. Once again, at some point, think about that, Jamie Dimon. You're a smart man. You make a lot of money. But that's your party that's doing that. Those are their policies. Those are the people you fund. So I'm glad that he's having this epiphany. But the reality is that that's the thing. When they actually realize the policies matter, trying to rebuild that branch, put his people back to work, and it's his party, and the candidates he funds, they're standing in the way, as is the case over and over and over again, as we've seen today. It's just amazing how much I just went through about what happened in the last 48 hours. And what's Democrats' response? More whining, more complaining, more going to an ice rink and hitting and assaulting federal officials. They're not part of the solution. They're part of the problem. All over the country, as we see from that Jamie Dimon clip. As I mentioned earlier, we've got Steve Moore on Wednesday, Steve Bannon on Friday, a big, big week ahead of you. Go to my website, SeanSpicer.com, to sign up for my weekly newsletter. It comes out twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. It's completely free. Go to SeanSpicer.com to get it. Tell others, share it with others. Please always join us at the 6 o'clock premiere of the show. It means a lot to our success to have people join us right at 6. Share the link to the show with 5 additional friends. Welcome them into the Sean Spicer world and to be part of this community. Thank you for everyone who joins the chat every night. I always appreciate it, especially as we've crossed 150,000 subscribers this weekend. That's because of you guys, because you've shared it. You've been part of the community. I can't thank you enough. All right. Thanks for kicking off your Monday with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Sean Spicer Show. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.